Whether you're just starting out or looking to brush up on your chord vocabulary, learning about the different types of chords commonly encountered in punk rock and its many subgenres can significantly improve your playing and writing skills. Starting with power chords, I won't spend too long talking about these as I'm sure you're already familiar with them, but instead explain why they're used and how you can expand on them. To play a power chord, simply fret the first and fifth notes using 2 fingers. You can also add the octave of the first note for a basic 3-finger alternative. So these are common in many genres because they have a neutral sound. They're neither major nor minor, as they only consist of the first and fifth notes. This makes them really flexible in almost any scenario, whether you're playing aggressive modern hardcore like Knocked Loose, or emo like the Get Up Kids. In addition to this, you can alter the chords to give them more unique sounds. A clear example would be how Rivers Cuomo from Weezer tends to invert most power chords, so he's always using the low E string. This gives the chords a chunkier sound, almost as if you're playing in a drop tuning. Bar chords are also very common in punk, particularly with earlier bands from the 70s. They're great for adding harmonic detail, especially for bands that don't have many lead guitar parts. The inclusion of the third, along with octaves of the first and fifth notes, helps to fill out what might otherwise be a more empty sound palette. To play these, start with a 3-finger power chord position, then add the third note. You can also bar the B and high E strings, or omit them, depending on your desired sound and preference. Slash chords became especially prominent in the 90s with the rise of bands like NoFX and No Use for a Name, who heavily popularized their use. These chords create a disorienting effect because the lowest note in terms of pitch is not the root note, which results in a more interesting sound. They're also a great way to break the monotony of regular power chords. The natural dissonant sound they create can often be associated with styles like skate punk and pop punk. To play these, start with your simple 2-finger power chord, then drop the lower string down by a half step. Keep in mind that this lower string is no longer considered the root note, as it would be in a standard power chord.
I'm waking up and shutting down from looking at my bank account. This daily grind I'm doing fine. God damn, it's such a waste of time.
Tritones are the most dissonant interval, and they've been used in countless punk songs. While they might not be used as frequently as power chords and bar chords, they work great as passing chords, often helping to tie 2 chord progressions together that might otherwise sound a little awkward.
Don't ask, I won't upset you. I am
To play these, start with your 2-finger power chord and simply move the root note up 1/2 step. You can also add the octave of the lower string, similar to the 3-finger power chord alternative if you prefer. Major 7th chords have become increasingly popular in more modern styles of punk, particularly in Midwest emo. Many of these bands draw inspiration from math rock and Japanese punk, incorporating heavy use of open tunings that naturally emphasize the sound of a major 7th chord, such as D-A-D, F-sharp, A-D. If you want to stay in standard tuning, all you need to do is play a regular 3-finger power chord shape, and then lower the octave of the root note down by a half step. This shape omits the third and is probably the more common way you'll hear it played. However, you can also include the third for a jazzier sound. Now that you know your punk rock chord types, the next step is to explore lead guitar, which I've covered in this video.